Hello there guys, it's me KSL of KSL Tech Studios here, and I am back once again with another video. Now this is kind of a rare sight on my channel these days because I haven't done a gaming related video in a very long time. This, as you can see, is an original Nintendo 3DS console, and I bought this off, the story about this is, I bought this off a friend who, it was owned by another person that we know. And the unique thing about it is it has custom firmware installed, which allows me to play all the games that I previously was unable to play because of, money problems. So that's pretty nice. However, it does have one issue in that these shoulder buttons do not work at all. So what we're going to do today is we are going to try to replace them with some aftermarket replacements here that I bought on Amazon. So, without further ado, I think it's time to start tearing into the system and getting things up and running here. Here we are, just battery cover. Set that to the side. And we have to remove the battery itself right here. So this is the original 3DS battery from when it was manufactured. Yeah, you can see my serial number. It doesn't look like I care. Now we have all of these screws that we need to remove. So we're going to do that next. These are all the same length of screw. Good, and finally there's one in the cartridge slot. Not entirely sure if this one is stripped or not. So here we are. It shouldn't really come off this easily, but mine are already snapped. My cables are already snapped, so it's not a big deal. And this comes out like this because my screw up here is stripped, so that's wonderful. So this is what we're going to be working on. We don't need this quite yet, so we'll just move that off to the side, the main 3DS unit here. So this itself is the actual piece here. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to remove this entire assembly here. So once you've removed this part, that shouldn't go that way, it's just my screw post is stripped. This part just simply comes off. And then we have an extra screw to remove down in here, so we'll just take that off. And then that should free this plastic shroud around the button itself. Come out fairly easily, but you can give it some help. Maybe with your, yeah, there you go. Just pull it out like so. And this is the plastic shroud. It goes in like this, back in there. So there, the plastic shroud is out. And now we have access to our button. Now since mine has been already destroyed, don't lose these metal things. They're for the battery cover, so you should probably keep those around. Just looking here is to find a good way to remove this, the remnants of this button here. So right here, I may need some tweezers for this, folks. This one's already been torn because I've tried to replace my buttons before, and well, they ripped in half, which is just wonderful. So this is one of them. So that's obviously garbage because it's not good anymore. So for these things, make sure that they stay back inside this part here. So you gotta just put them back, like so. Like this, and this one should just go like this. Back inside, no problem. And then this spring here should try to tuck that back in there as best as you can, just so that way the button is springy. So the next thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to put a new button assembly in it. So obviously we shall put a new left button assembly. Looks like this. It's the one with the super short tiny cable, like that. Or is it? Hold on one second. Yeah, it's this one. So we gotta put it in like this, and it's just use your tweezers for a little help here. It is just a little bit tedious to get these things in. So there it's in, as you can see, and the button, as long as the button clicks, that's fine. Now we're just going to have to study the way it comes out of here. So it comes out of here through a small hole that is inside, a small gap that is on this plastic shroud. So as you can see here, it kind of goes underneath. This is where your wire is supposed to poke through. There we go. So this is how it's supposed to come out, like this. It goes just underneath this gap part here. So now what we do, we just have to put it back in. No problem. Or I mean, put the screws back in. So this one goes right in the center here. Don't be like me and strip one of your screw posts. Okay, that's good, I think. And now we can put our shroud back in, our little shield for the battery compartment. Should just fall right back in. Yeah, because this is relative to us, it's the left. So, what we have to do is we got to put our 3 screws back in here. This is the other side, the side with a more complicated looking cable on it. I would show you the cable, but this one's been obviously sheared right off. Here there are 3 screws. It makes it clearer to see as there is no cable in the way. And here there is just a plastic shroud. There is no metal or anything. So here's 1. Here is 2. Second one will kind of be almost directly underneath the cable. And here's the third one, up right in the corner there. They should all be the same length. And this is the shroud. It goes in like so. So this is the current shroud, and this one is much easier because you could simply just pull it out, your button, and that's it, or what's left of it, I guess. So now that was obviously garbage yet again, because we don't have a good button on, or at least the cable is completely done for. And with this one, you do have a tiny post on this side, and also a spring. dealing with that spring, you might want to push it back in just so that way it springs. Sometimes it will fall out like that, and that's not very nice. So you just have to try and do your best with it. All right? Now I have one of these little washer thingies that came out, unfortunately, which is, again, the screw for the battery cover, since it was like basically right there. And here is our new shoulder button itself. So there, we can just put this in. This one's a bit easier to attach compared to the last one here. So this again will go underneath this shroud assembly here. So I'm just trying to find a good way to get underneath it, like so. There we go. So that's it, it's installed. Now we can reinstall the screws. That is it. The cable for this is installed. There's no adhesive or anything for it. So now the shoulder buttons are installed in the back. Now we have to connect it to the main board itself here. This is by far the hardest part and the easiest to screw up. So I'm just gonna give you full disclosure at first. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to line it up with the back half first, like so. So that way we can simply hinge it downward whenever we are trying to, like, close it up. This might be a bit difficult to do on camera, so I might do a different camera angle setup just so you guys could see it a bit better. Alright, I'm back with another camera angle, so let's just see how well I can do this for you folks. So basically what you're going to try to do is you're going to try to place it back down on the two halves of it here. What I'm going to suggest trying to get one side in. Your goal is to not have these things rip when you put it down. And it seems as though we did it successfully this time, so that's very nice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to put the screws all back in, and I'm probably going to set up a different camera angle for that once again. So I think it's now time to just close everything up and do a first power up, I think. Hopefully our new shoulder buttons will work just fine. I hope. So there are new buttons installed. Here's our battery. We'll plop that back in. Here is our battery cover, we'll put that back on. Alright, there it is. Now we can get prepared to do a run up here. Alrighty. Let's see, it's just going to turn on here. 3D light is on, that's always a good sign. Here's the thing itself. So let's push the button. Oh, that one works. Oh, that's great. Now both of them work, and when you hold down the two buttons together, you can get into the camera. Let's hope it doesn't enable the front camera. So, still activating the camera. It is an older 3DS, so I'm not entirely... Here's a back camera. There we go. See how that works just fine. That's just wonderful. However, it is just a little bit slow, but that's okay. So that is a successful repair done on the original Nintendo 3DS. Getting the shoulder buttons up and running. So, thank you guys for watching. And as always, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, leave a comment if you have one.